It is a 3-in-1 kind of video today. The red soup, the green soup, and the Zaafi kind of party. Friends, welcome to this party. Let's start. We have our beef shank. I've just added some beef tripe. I've also parboiled some cow foot as well as this beef tendon. That's what it looks like when it's parboiled. I love the texture of this, and it's rich in collagen, great for your skin and your bones. Here is our marinade. I just added some dry rosemary, 2 calabash nutmegs. Inkitin is going in right now, which is the same as aniseed, which you can substitute with your fennel seeds. I'm also adding some crushed black pepper. My marinade also includes the onions you see in the bowl, some scallions, scotch, bonnet, chilies, garlic, and ginger. It smells as aromatic as it ought to smell. I throw in 6 heaping tablespoons full of it into the meat. I add my salt to taste, and then I also add my all-purpose seasoning, very similar to your bouillons. Chicken bouillon or beef bouillon will be a great substitute. I rinse my blender with about 16 ounces of water and add it to the pot because these meats need to tenderize and they need the water to do so. Then I set it on the stove on medium heat. And oops, let us not forget to stir the pot. We want to make sure everything is combined perfectly. Throw the lid back on, and as you cook on medium heat, you have about 30 minutes to forget about this thing. It's just going to take its time to do its own thing, tenderize, which in turn gives us time to prepare the rest of our ingredients. So I have cut up some shallot onions into very thin slices. It's going to begin the base of our red stew. Here are some chilies. These are Serrano chilies. They resemble the bakboshito we use in Ghana, which are petit bell chilies. They resemble them in flavor, in aroma, and also in the heat level. So blend a few of those together and we are almost set. Now I'm checking on the meat. It's been about 30 minutes and it is perfectly tender, plus a tantalizing broth. This is good to go. We are going to set this pot aside and start preparing the red sauce or the red stew or soup. So in this other pot, I pour in some cooking olive oil to brown my beef shank. So I separate the beef shank and put those in here. So it's gonna be very, almost like a searing, but what I'm trying to do here is brown the meat without deep frying it. So I think you get the point here. Now browning your beef shank is a step you must not omit, friends and family, because that brings you those caramelized bits and pieces that brings more flavor into your soup. There's no reason why you must omit this step. Now, if you're afraid of oil, just use a healthy kind like this cooking olive oil, or even your avocado oils will be great as well. Now, once they are browned, and you have to go in and stir a few times and turn them around because we're not deep frying, so you'll need to turn them so they have contact with the bottom of the pot and the oil to brown on all sides. Once that is done, we're going to pour in some palm oil to begin cooking the base of the red sauce. Add your thinly sliced shallot onions immediately after the palm oil melts, all right? Don't overcook the palm oil till it starts to smoke. Not good. So add it immediately after it melts and cook that until the onions become translucent, just like so. Then add your fresh blend from the beginning. We used some of this to cook our meat. It was the marinade that we used. So the rest of it, pour it into the pot, followed by the Serrano chilies. Pour everything in there. Stir to combine. Now, Zaafi is an interesting dish. Interesting in a very, very positive way. It reigns from the northern part of Ghana. So the northerners of Ghana, they bless the rest of the country with this absolutely nourishing and delicious dish. It comprises a swallow made from cornmeal and cassava meal. And then it goes with this red sauce we're cooking and a very, very nutritious green soup. Anyway, I had to share a rundown of what Zaafi is for those who are not familiar with the dish. What just went in is dawadawa, which brings loads of umami. Now, prior to that, I added some dry smoked rehydrated herrings. So I rehydrated them in water and also deboned them. And this is my homemade tomato sauce. This is 4 weeks after I made it. And look at it. It smells, it looks, and it tastes fresh still. I made a big batch and canned them, and it has been a lifesaver because I don't have freezer space. So yes, this has been really helpful, a lifesaver indeed. Now you may substitute with about 6 Roma tomatoes blended up if you don't have your tomato sauce. Now, once you add the tomato sauce, you're going to cover the pot after you stir it up to combine and cook for the next 15 minutes, all right, on very low heat. Now, when you go back in, you should find some oil on the surface of the sauce. And then you're going to now add the rest of your meats. All your protein will go in there, plus half of the broth, which is being poured in there right now. Now, the stock or the broth is necessary to thin up the sauce we're making, but also to bring more flavor. Reserve the rest of it. We will use it soon, so keep watching. Now, this sauce is cooked like the way we would normally cook a tomato-based stew in Ghana, but it ends up having the consistency of between stew and soup. So I call it stoop, all right? It needs to be thick, but not too thick, and it needs to be thin but not too thin, just in between. So at some point we're going to thin it up some more with water. All right, now once we add the meat, you cover the pot, stir everything up together, cover the pot, continue to cook on low heat for the next 20 minutes. And here is my mackerel in tomato sauce. I canned some of that too. Oh my gosh, canning has become my thing now, because it's such a clever way of preserving food. Anyway, so I have added about 16 ounces of that and stir that in. Taste and make sure you have enough seasoning in there, because food that is not seasoned well is such a flop. We're not flopping here. No. All right. So I needed to add some salt, and I added a bit of that, and now it tastes perfect. After adding the mackerel and tomato sauce, which brings more flavor again, you're going to stir everything together and cover the pot with the lid partially and continue to cook on low heat for about 10 to 15 more minutes. And your red stoop should be cooked to perfection. Now, before you turn the heat off, you're going to now add your browned up beef shank. Don't forget those. Now, I don't know if you were paying attention in the beginning, but yeah, Sister Madame helped herself a little bit to the brown beef. It was so good. That stuff was seasoned well. I couldn't help it, friends. Oh, I could not help it. It was so good. So yeah, stir that in. Remember, that's already cooked and it is perfect. So you don't need to cook any further. Just kind of submerge everything and then garnish with your chilies. That's optional, but I like that step. All right, so that's done. Turn the heat off and then begin working on your ayoyo leaves. So these are Molokai leaves. If you go to the market, you can find them fresh. They are known as Molokai leaves out here in North America. I live in the Phoenix metropolitan area in Arizona, and I go to a store called Lily's. And there's another store called Mekong, and they actually stock these leaves in the summertime. So hey, I went and I took a bunch of it, and here we go. So wash them well. I use some salt to clean them thoroughly. So I wash them in a brine solution, wash them again twice, and then I crush them in a food processor to this chunky texture. Now, I actually regret not crushing them to a smoother texture than what I have, because when you do that, then that draw nature of them actually gets activated more. Anyway, hey, you live and you learn. It's all good. Let's move on. All right, so now in this pot, I have poured some water and I have added some shallot onions thinly sliced, as well as some chilies. Those are green habaneros to bring more flavor. And then I've added the rest of the meat broth. Here again, I have the dry smoked herrings. That is great for developing broths. This is dawadawa again. So it's a bean that has a very deep umami flavor. So it actually resembles Chinese black bean paste or miso paste too. It is, like I said, deep in umami flavors, and it has the potential to turn heads in terms of its aroma, and it will definitely awaken all your savory senses in the best way possible. It is a must-have ingredient in here, and it's sold in the African market. So right after that, I have added my chopped up or crushed greens. And here I'm adding some smoked herring powder, which brings even more sweetness. And I've also added a bit of my homemade all-purpose seasoning, which you can substitute with your chicken or beef bouillon. Stir everything in and then taste for salt, because some of the ingredients have salt, like my all-purpose seasoning. And if you use your bouillon, definitely will have salt too. So I tasted and I needed to add a little more seasoning, so I added some salt. Now, the whipping action that I was doing before was just me trying to develop the draw, the slime, all right? Now, last thing you want to do is overcook these greens. You don't want to destroy the nutrients. What I'm doing is grating in some fresh ginger just before I turn off the heat. Stir that in, it just freshens everything up. It makes this soup so tasty, friends. Don't just boil the greens and call it a day. No, it's an opportunity for you to throw flavor at it, so don't miss out on that opportunity. Now let's cook the swallow, the Zaafi part. Very easy. You need equal parts cornmeal, white cornmeal that is, and cassava flour, which is the same as kokunte. Now to the cornmeal, you're going to add some water and stir it up like that. Whisk it together to make sure there are no lumps. And then you're going to add the cornmeal mixture to some boiling water. I've left all the ingredients and their quantities below in the description box, so please kindly check it out. It'll help you replicate all three of these dishes. So now what I'm doing is pouring the cornmeal and water mixture into the boiling water, and I'm going to cook this until it starts bubbling into a porridge consistency, just like that. That took about 10 minutes. Now we're going to split it up into 2 equal parts. We're going to take half of the cooked porridge and set it aside. And the rest of it is still on the stove and it continues to bubble. And now we're going to introduce the cassava flour, aka kokunte. We're going to introduce that in bits though, all right, little by little while stirring simultaneously. We don't want any lumps, and lumps could easily form if you're not stirring as you're adding, okay? So continue to stir, and when the mixture becomes too thick to where you are not able to stir in a circular motion anymore, then you can temporarily stop adding the flour, all right? So that way you can use your spatula to crush the mixture against the inner walls of the pot as I'm doing right now, just in case there are any lumps that have formed. That maneuver is going to crush them for you. And now at this point, we have added all the flour and cooked an additional 5 minutes, and the mixture is nice and sticky, and it's also very smooth. So we are going to continue to cook it by adding the porridge. So I decided to make it easier to add the porridge in 2 batches, so there's still a little bit of the porridge left sitting on the counter. And there isn't a hard and fast rule as to how to add the porridge. It's just something I decided to do because I feel it'll be easier. All right, so now you have two different consistencies in there. One that's a porridge and one that is like bangkung. It's thick. So it gets tricky, see, when you're trying to incorporate both of them to combine them thoroughly. So I went in full throttle at this point and I just started kind of whisking it together. Okay, so do what you need to do. It isn't that hard to do it though, because it isn't a firm banku-like texture. Okay, so it's super easy. Okay, so now we're adding the rest of the porridge. And if you think this is becoming too thin, do not worry. This is exactly how to make tuwo Zaafi. And the truth is, the softer it is at this stage, the softer it'll be when it's set and ready to be served. So if you want it softer, then you can add more porridge. All right, so there we have it. It is ready, and I left it in the saucepan with the lid on while it sat down and got set and ready to be served. And look at that consistency. It is perfect, still nice and soft. Now, tuwo Zaafi is best enjoyed when it is hot and soft. So you can also portion them into those safe plastic bags. But I didn't need to do that because I made just enough for the family to enjoy it right away. So here is the red soup, followed by the green soup. Friends and family, I hope you have learned a thing or two and are inspired to try the recipe. Make it a great day and have fun, especially in that kitchen. Thank you, beautiful person, for watching the video all the way to the end. Kindly leave me a comment and subscribe down below. And don't forget to share the video as well. Also, watch more videos. It is chop time, and here in Anaba's kitchen, chop time is always yes, friends. So pull up a chair. We are all friends and family here.